The air in my lungs felt like ice. Ivan's words, very close and many, echoed in the sudden, crushing silence that followed. The tank tracks, stark and brutal in the snow, were a death sentence written in steel. 7 of us. How many of them? Dozens? 100? More? It didn't matter. Any number greater than ours was too many. My mind raced, a frantic engine trying to find purchase on a patch of icy ground. Panic was a luxury we couldn't afford. I took a slow, deliberate breath, the frigid air burning its way down. "All right," I said, my voice low and steady, betraying none of the turmoil inside. "Vasily, Dmitri, get that Degtyaryov sighted on the crest of that small rise, like we talked about. Make sure you've got interlocking fields of fire covering the approach from where those tracks disappear into the trees. Dig in as best you can. Use that fallen log for cover." Vasily, ever the professional, just grunted, hefting the DP-28 and moving with surprising speed for a man his size. Dmitri, his face pale but set, scurried after him, clutching spare ammo pans. He fumbled one, nearly dropping it in the snow. I saw his hand tremble. "Easy, Dmitri," I said, a little sharper than I intended. "Focus, every movement deliberate." He nodded, eyes wide, and re-gripped the pan. "Kostya," I turned to the old farmer. "You're our eyes further out. Find a spot with good concealment, slightly elevated if you can, overlooking the main path those tracks are taking. I want you to give us the earliest possible warning. Don't engage unless they're right on top of you, or unless I give the signal. Your rifle is for precision, not volume. Make every shot count, if it comes to that." Kostya simply nodded, his ancient Mosin Nagant already seeming like an extension of his arm. He faded into the trees to our right flank, like a wisp of smoke, a true woodsman. That left Pyotr, Ivan, and myself. "Pyotr," I said, "stay with Vasily and Dmitri. When the shooting starts, you'll be needed there. Keep low, keep your head." He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing, but gave a curt nod, his medic bag clutched tight. He looked barely old enough to shave, let alone patch up the horrors German steel could inflict. "Ivan," I looked at our scout. His face was a mask of impassivity, but his eyes were alive, constantly moving. "You and I will take up a forward position. Try to get a better look at what's coming. We need to know numbers, composition. Are there just tanks or infantry support? How much?" Ivan grunted his assent. "They will have infantry, Sergeant. Always. Panzergrenadiers. They do not send their iron coffins out alone if they can help it." He was right, of course. Tanks were terrifying, but it was the infantry, the men with rifles and machine guns who would pick us apart if we were caught in the open. We moved forward, cautiously, using every depression, every thicket of firs for cover. The snow crunched softly under our boots, each sound magnified 100-fold in the pregnant silence. My heart hammered against my ribs, a trapped bird desperate for escape. The metallic tang in the air was stronger now, mixed with the faint, oily scent of diesel. They were close, closer than I liked. We found a small dip, almost a snow-filled ditch, overlooking the path the tanks had taken. It offered minimal cover, but a decent vantage point into the denser woods where the tracks vanished. We lay flat, the frozen ground leaching warmth from our bodies despite the layers of wool and quilted cotton. I pulled out my field glasses, the metal icy against my bare fingers. I'd taken my gloves off for better dexterity. A foolish move, perhaps, but necessary. Minutes stretched into an eternity. The wind whispered through the pines, a mournful song. I could hear Dimitri's ragged breathing from our rear position, even over the distance. Or perhaps it was my own. Every nerve was stretched taut. I focused on my breathing, trying to calm the tremor in my hands as I adjusted the focus on the binoculars. Then Ivan stiffened beside me. He didn't speak, just a subtle shift in his posture. A flicker of movement at the edge of the dense tree line. Then another, gray, Feldgrau. Not tanks yet, but men, moving with practiced efficiency, spread out, rifles at the ready. Panzergrenadiers, just as Ivan predicted. 1, 2, 5, 10, a whole squad at least, acting as a screen. My blood ran cold. If the screen was this far out, the main body couldn't be far behind. I swept the binoculars further along the tree line, and then I saw it. The first beast, emerging slowly from the shadows of the pines, like some prehistoric monster. The angular, menacing silhouette of a Panzer IV. Its long 75mm cannon seemed to sniff the air, traversing slightly. Then another, slightly behind it and to the flank, and a third. My breath hitched. 3 Panzer IVs, at least a squad, probably a platoon of supporting infantry. And this was just the vanguard, what we could see. What else was hidden by the trees, by the slight rise and fall of the terrain? The ground began to vibrate, a low, almost imperceptible tremor that grew steadily, felt more in the bones than heard. Then the sound reached us, a deep, guttural rumble, the growl of powerful engines. It was a sound that had haunted my nightmares for 3 long years. The sound of the German war machine on the move. "Back," I whispered to Ivan, my throat dry. "Quietly. Warn the others." He nodded, already moving, a shadow slipping away through the snow. I stayed for another precious second, imprinting the enemy's disposition in my mind. The spacing of the tanks, the cautious advance of the infantry. They weren't charging blindly. They were expecting resistance, or at least being thorough. I crawled back, my belly scraping the frozen earth, the branches of low-hanging fir snagging at my coat. Reaching the others, I found them already alert, Ivan having relayed the sighting. Vasily had the DP-28 aimed squarely down the path, his knuckles white on the grip. Dmitri was feeding him a fresh pan, his movements jerky but functional. Pyotr was crouched beside them, his eyes darting nervously. 3 panzers visible, maybe more, I panted, keeping my voice low. At least a platoon of infantry screening them. They're moving methodically. They'll be on us in minutes. Kostya had rejoined us, his face grim. "More engine sounds from further back, Sergeant. Deeper, heavier." "Panthers?" Tigers? My stomach twisted. 7 men with rifles, 1 submachine gun, and a single light machine gun against that. It was beyond suicidal. It was madness.
"We can't fight them head-on," Vasily stated, his voice flat. It wasn't fear, just a statement of brutal fact.
No, I agreed. We can't. Our job was reconnaissance. We found them. Now we need to get that information back. But how? We were directly in their path. Trying to circle around would take too long, expose us. The rumble was louder now, a physical presence. The trees seemed to shake with it. Any moment, the first gray uniform, the first steel snout of a cannon would appear around the bend in the path. An idea sparked, desperate and dangerous. "Ivan," I said, "how far to the ravine west of here? The one with the steep banks?"
Ivan thought for a moment. "Half a kilometer. Thick woods, difficult passage. They will not take tanks there." "But infantry might follow," I mused. "Vasily, Dmitri, when they get close, I mean dangerously close, when the lead infantry are almost on top of us, open up. Short bursts. Aim for the grenadiers. Don't try for the tanks. It's a waste of ammunition. Create chaos. Make them think they've hit a strong point. While they're deploying, reacting, the rest of us pull back towards that ravine. Kostya, you cover our withdrawal. Pick your targets. Ivan, you lead the way." It was a threadbare plan, relying on surprise and the enemy's momentary confusion. A delaying action, nothing more. A way to buy us seconds. "What about you, Sergeant?" Dmitri asked, his voice cracking. "I'll be right behind you," I lied. Or perhaps I hoped. Someone had to coordinate the fire, give the signal to break. "Pyotr, you stick with Ivan. If anyone goes down, he'll need you." The first German soldier appeared. Just a fleeting glimpse of a helmet through the trees, then another. They were moving faster now, emboldened by the lack of resistance. The lead Panzer IV lumbered into view, its tracks churning snow and mud, its cannon pointing directly towards our concealed position. It looked impossibly large, a steel behemoth. Behind it, more infantry fanned out. My heart was a cold stone in my chest. I raised my hand, ready to give the signal. This was it. The frozen forest, our sanctuary, was about to become a slaughterhouse. Every instinct screamed to run, to hide, but the faces of my men, pale but resolute, looked to me. I met Vasily's gaze. He nodded once, a grim understanding passing between us. The lead German grenadier was less than 50 meters away, his rifle held across his chest, his eyes scanning the woods. Closer, closer. My hand was poised to drop. The echoes of steel were about to become deafening.